welcome back to another episode of On the Line. It's Tuesday, October 24th. I'm Cory here with Olivia Ekbene.
Hello.
Big show, big weekend ahead.
I know.
State championship season. We're going to dive into a host of these meets today, along with big things from the weekend. Another national pick'em. I mean, when do we not have a national pick'em?
I know. We're counting down the weeks now, so I feel like every episode we need to
go
back to it. Yeah.
A new pick'em. And then we'll finish off our Northeast team picks here in the Northeast, New York, and California regions. Before we dive into today's show, though, it's Tuesday. We're filming right before the Utah State Championship, so we obviously can't get to what's happening there. But I want to talk a little bit about it before we dive into things.
Yeah.
Any thoughts or predictions?
Yeah, I think my biggest thought is I'm just excited for Timpview, to be quite honest with you, especially seeing Lily Alder hit the cross-country course. I know I mentioned her a couple of times on the show, but she went ahead and won the Region 7 championship title in a 17:43, and as you mentioned, they're about to hit the course in about 45 minutes or so right before we started filming. So I'm excited to see what Miss Alder does today, Tuesday.
It's going to be a major state championship in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Obviously, the number one storyline is Harriman American Fork, 1 and 2 teams going at it in the 6A finals, along with number 32 Riverton, I believe, also in that race. What are our thoughts? Does Harriman win? Does American Fork
It's going to get spicy.
win?
Ooh, I don't know. I'm going to vote for Harriman on this one.
Okay, you're going with consistency?
Yeah, consistency here.
Okay.
Huge fan of American Fork, and I know Daniel Simmons is going to do what he needs to do. It's definitely going to be a race to the finish, but I think Harriman's going to take this one.
Harriman finished 2 through 8 in their divisional race, a 9-second spread. That will be incredibly tough to beat that if they run like that. But if American Fork gets their first 3 guys in and kind of gets another one in between, I'm actually sorry, Harriman. I'm picking American Fork.
Okay.
6A.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
it's gonna be great.
Today's the day where Harriman goes down.
Okay.
But
we'll wait in 45 minutes to see what happens.
We'll recap all this stuff too, with maybe some recaps on Instagram and social media and on the site with Jane Hediger and girls races, things like that.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to it. But as we always start the show, we're going to go with the top 3 things from the weekend. The first thing is Emmanuel Perez.
Yeah.
Los Angeles Cathedral runner finally earned his huge win of the season, winning the D3-4-5 sweepstakes race on Friday at Mount Sac at 14:38, ended up being the fastest time across 2 days of action at Mount Sac. What do we think of his performance?
I just think his story as a whole is just very unique. He started running when he was a sophomore. So I feel like personally not many people had him on their radar, because typically we see a lot of runners start their freshman year and then they start building. But for Perez, he just kind of snuck in there during his sophomore season. So this is his 3rd year. He's gaining that experience. But I feel like he's been knocking at the door. He's been hitting that special moment. He was 3rd at Woodbridge, 2nd at Clovis, and as you mentioned, just won the title over the weekend, 14:38 for 3 miles, and literally just taking down the field by 20 seconds. So I love seeing stories like this where we see an athlete starting to find their passion and love for running, evolve, grow, get after titles, and just keep knocking at the door. I think that's one of the beautiful things about this.
If you haven't already seen it, go to California MileSplit, read the profile on Perez written by Tomo Chien. It's really, really good stuff. I think I agree with you. Kind of coming into the sport late. He wasn't seen as a runner. Sophomore year was sort of his understand what's the process, what's happening, and then last year he wins his first state title, kind of built a little bit. This year is going to be a little bit different. If you look at his times, though, 12th best 5K this season, 14:42. 3rd best 3-mile performance in the U.S., 13:50. That's not just like any other good runner. That's exceptional runner. I'm really curious to see how he will do once he gets to that national stage, because more than likely at CIF he's going to run one of the 5 fastest times and he'll get to NXN. Now, where does he go once he gets to Portland and he runs outside of California, basically for the first time? That's the question I'd love to know the answer to. But I mean, really fascinating story. Kind of is like some runners we've seen in the past that haven't had huge names but have built themselves up in a matter of a year. And he'll go to a big time university. I think if all things work out, we'll see him at the next stage.
And I love how you mentioned that article, because I had a chance to read it also going into the show. And I think what really stands out about Perez too is we hear a lot of times like athletes work hard, right? Like that is something we hear day in and day out. But one of the things I love is that he went in and was like, I'm not quitting though. Like I might not be the fastest right now, just kind of reflecting on his resume, but I'm going to continue to work hard, get better each time, and look at the fruition that he's getting right now.
Yeah, for sure. Next up, Union Catholic boys and girls coming off a really good performance at counties where they swept. Just how good is UC this year?
Yeah, it was really interesting because I kind of did a deep dive yesterday, kind of compared the different programs and schools in the country who have like the top team averages for both the boys and the girls. And literally I only found a handful of them on both sides. I think it's really hard to find one good team. It's even more difficult to have two. And I think Union Catholic has just done an extraordinary job this year with putting in the, fueling the fire a little bit more for both of these teams. And at the Union County Championships, the boys won the title with 26 points with a 1546 average. Their top 5 runners all finished in the top 13, which is amazing. Our favorite guy, Jimmy, won the title in 1512, 30 seconds faster than the rest of the field. And they've gone 1541 for their best team average, which puts them at number 44 in the country. And just looking specifically at the girls, I know a lot of eyes have been on the girls program lately, especially with Paige Shippard and then Peyton Hollis, who did a fantastic job this weekend, winning the title with a 1752, and Paige was right there with a 1755. But what was impressive for me about the girls is their top 7 all finished in the top 8, and they have the 17th best team average in the country this year with an 1808. So it's like I mentioned, it's very, very difficult to get both teams ranked with all these, the team averages up there, but I feel like Union Catholic is good, very good on both the boys and the girls side.
Agreed. Top 10 national team on both sides, ranked by us.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go overboard. It is a very good win at counties. Great win, fast averages, performances are great. It's pretty much par for the course for a team like this. Though if you are considered the best in New Jersey or in that county, you should win like that. So I think it's par for the course. The fact that they beat Westfield, which was 21 previous ranking before they dropped a little bit this past one, also a really good win. But the most important meets coming up are basically groups.
Yeah.
Meet of Champions,
yeah.
Regionals. Before the season, I said that Union Catholic would make a run at these titles. I would say, because CBA won basically all of those last year. Groups, Meet of Champions, even at Regionals, they were better than Union Catholic. Union Catholic was missing Jimmy.
Yeah.
So he's back. They're obviously performing at a very high level.
Right.
But now is the time to see where they both stack up.
Yeah.
Is UC better than CBA? And that's a really fun question.
That is a very
CBA
fun question.
Has been running incredible.
They've been running very, very well this year too.
And that's why they moved up to number 3 in the rankings. So
yes.
Just like this is what cross-country season is made for.
Yeah.
For these big-time races, we're seeing it in Utah today.
Yeah.
We're going to get it in New Jersey at the end of the month. Honestly, until they run, I'm not quite sure where I put them. I think Union Catholic is talented enough, but CBA, it's going to be hard to offset them.
Yeah, it really is. It's gonna have to literally be the best performance on that day. It's whatever team has the best performance for groups.
Yeah.
Meet of Champions, regionals, like that's gonna be the team.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the team that comes out on top. So it's really hard for me to tell because I feel like they're very close right now on paper.
Yeah. Girls team, maybe in my mind, are a little better in terms of potential down the road.
Yes.
Because the talent stacked up top in that team is just pretty tough to beat. Peyton Hollis just won the county meet. Paige Shippard's a really engaging freshman. And so it's like you have that depth, and the fact that Paige is one of the top runners right now on that team is like, ooh, what is she going to do in the next 3 years that we get to see her? For sure. All right, watch out for that next week. Next up, who's more dominant in Colorado right now on the girls' side? Addie Ritzenhein or Bethany Michalak? This is a debate.
This is a really fun show. We're hitting all the cylinders here. If I had to pick right now, I love them both. They all have incredible resumes. But if I had to solely pick right now who is the most dominant athlete in Colorado on the girls' side, I'm going with Addie Ritzenhein. And the reason behind it is not only one, she's a sophomore, she is mighty. She's a mighty sophomore. But the progress that she has made in just one season has been absolutely remarkable. I want to take us back to 2022. At Desert Twilight, she clocked 18:10, and this year she went 16:44. Like that kind of improvement is like unheard of. And we've had a chance to talk with Bobby Reyes multiple times, and just based off what we saw at the Colorado for Region 3 championships, he describes this course as, quote, brutal. And the fact that she went out there and went 16:58 on that course is absolutely wild. I feel like Addie has just been very consistent. She's been posting many of the nation's fastest times right now. I don't care what her age is. I feel like Addison Ritzenhein is. Okay. That's my pick right now.
More dominant right now.
Yes.
And I agree with you. I think both of these girls are among the best in the country. It's not like one's up here, one's down here.
Oh, no.
They're here.
They're here, yeah.
It's a matter of who's been, maybe who actually is going to sort of be a little bit better down the road. The dominance factor is small margins here. I'm picking Bethany, though, and the reason I have that thought is because of her last few performances. Since Woodbridge, she's been nearly perfect. She finished 6th at that race, but if you consider the top 4 girls at Woodbridge all went under the national 3-mile best, that day. She was 6th. She was just 11 seconds behind it. So it's not like she ran anywhere outside the norm there. She ran well there, but after Woodbridge, she's been on fire. She's won both of her races. She ran 16:48 at 5,000 feet of elevation, 16:59 at regionals at 60,000 feet of elevation. If you compare her Ritz elevation profiles, the races they've run, similar. Times have been pretty similar. The only separation for me is Michalak's age and experience.
Maturity. Yeah, and experience.
And I think one of the reasons why she got off to maybe a slower start, if you want to classify it like that, is because she's looking at it a little bit differently.
Right.
September races are great, but what really she needs to do is perform in October. Those are the necessary races. The November races are critical. The December ones are the ones that are going to really set you apart legacy wise, and they'll give you that payoff feeling. So I think they're both running awesome.
Yes.
I'm taking Michalak down the road.
I can understand that with the maturity and the experience that she has. And again, she is the top returner from NXM, which is a very prestige competition in itself. And the fact that she's here and she's healthy, which is great. Yeah. But I'm still going with Addison Ritzenhein here. Okay. Going with the sophomore, the mighty sophomore.
State championships this weekend in Colorado.
Yes.
We will get more to that down the line. But first, we're going to go back to a segment which we kind of always do this fall. Who are our top 3 national contenders if the season ended today? Who are we picking? Let's start with the girls first.
Girls first. Well, we've talked briefly about this one. I'm going with Jane Hedegren. And the reason being is I feel the biggest question, me personally, going into this 2023 season was, what is Jane going to be able to do? Is she going to be able to continue that momentum from her outdoor season last year? Because last year was fantastic of what she did as a freshman. I think we're getting those answers now. What we saw at Woodbridge, absolutely incredible. She is just a strong, talented sophomore, breaking the record of 15:32 for 3 miles. I feel like Jane, and obviously she's gonna compete today, but I feel like Jane Hedegren is the woman with the target on her back. The times that she posted, and I know she's only competed in a handful of races, but the times that she has left out there on the cross-country course, it just speaks volumes. So I would go with Jane Hedegren winning a title, number 1. Number 2, I would go with Elizabeth Leachman. She's pretty much toe-to-toe with Jane Hedegren, and it's interesting. They're both sophomores, so we already know they're competitors. Elizabeth Leachman's 2. But 3, I have Rachel Forsyth. And the reason why I have Rachel 3rd is because I feel like this whole entire season, consistently she's been putting out really fast times, and she's just been doing remarkable things. I know she's just been putting in the work right now, looking very strong. So I would put her as my third runner right now if I had to go in that order for nationals.
I like it. I'm going to be a little off center your list a little bit though. Obviously, keeping in mind there's 3 big races this offseason. Yeah. It's NXN, Foot Locker, and Running Lane. And,
right.
Some athletes pick one, some pick both, some pick the other.
Yeah.
I'm going with Sadie Engelhardt.
Okay.
I think she's picking Foot Locker. I don't think she does NXN. Mm-hmm. I think she wins Foot Locker. The way she ran.
That is okay.
The way she ran at Clovis was a meet record, the best she's ever run on the state course. Next up for her is the state series, then the state championships, then boom, it's nationals. So she doesn't have a ton of races on her legs, which is great. And I think seeing that Clovis win really gave me an indication that she is ready for that. So I'm picking her for Foot Locker. I'm picking Rachel Forsyth for NXN because no runner right now is as tough as her and has gone through what she has.
Yes.
And I think that's made her such an impressive athlete and person. She's won 8 races. She's gone under 17 minutes in her last 7 races. I mean, Michigan runners are built tough.
They're built tough. Yes.
Tough. And I think I agree with you. She's a tough runner. I think she wins NXN in my mind. And then my third and last runner is Zariel Makia.
I like that.
Really good runner at Foot Locker historically, and she's been just as good as she was last year this year. And I don't think we sleep on her anymore. I think we give her enough credit, but I'm picking her as my third best runner here in the nation right now.
Okay.
She's not going to have the super fast times, I think, but what matters is obviously the performances on the national stage.
And she's been very consistent. And she's one of those athletes that, when you just look at national meets, Zariel Makia's name is always in it. It doesn't matter what distance event she's running that day. She's always going to find a way to be at a national meet and get that exposure. So I totally agree with you there with Zariel.
Boys contenders.
Okay.
Boys picks.
Here we go. Again, spicy show today. I'm going with Clay Shively. For one.
Your top guy.
My top guy. I was not influenced by Max Bradley whatsoever from he's a huge Kansas guy. But the reason why I picked Clay Shively is few episodes ago, I remember doing the segment with Ashley, and Clay Shively said it and put it out in the world that he's like, I am going for an NXN title, and he said it early, and I feel like he's been backing up those performances day after day after day, and I stood by it, and I'm not backing down now. And I think he had that huge victory that he had at Roy Griak, I think really elevated him and gave him even more confidence with that 15:23. And then he set a 5K personal best at the Olathe Twilight where he went 14:42. So again, Clay Shively, I have number 1. Number 2, I have Daniel Simmons of American Fork. Of course, he's had the undefeated season, second at NXN last year, and he's gone 15:02 this season. And then for spot number 3, I have Drew Griffith, who went 14:21 on the Pole Green Park course, which was the fastest effort by any Pennsylvania guy in history. So if they all were to line up at the same race, that is the order I would predict.
So Drew Griffith is your Foot Locker champion?
Yes.
Okay. I agree with you, actually. I've finally stepped up, and I agree with Drew Griffith as the Foot Locker guy. It took a little bit this past weekend with some results that happened, but I'm finally there.
You're finally there.
I do have Daniel Simmons.
There we go.
I'm not backing off of Daniel Simmons.
And that's fair. Yeah.
Until somebody beats him, he is the guy that needs to be beat. And this will be, an interesting Utah State Championship to see how he does. But Daniel Simmons is my guy.
Okay.
I think he's amazing. Nathan Neal of Bozeman is my sort of off the radar pick. I think he finishes second at NXN. He is out of Bozeman. He's won all 5 races he's run this year. 14:50 is his best time. He's strong. He's new to running relatively from soccer, so I think he, like Emmanuel Perez, comes to this in a different vantage point, but that ultimately serves him, I think, at the next level. And even last year at NXN, he finished 25th, so he does have experience on the national stage there. So I'm picking Nathan Neal, and then Drew Griffith is my final pick. I think he wins Foot Locker this year. I'm finally ready to say that. I'm sorry if that puts pressure on you. We both just said it, though.
We both said it. We see it.
Foot Locker guy. We think he's a prohibitive favorite now at this point in time. All right. Fun stuff.
Fun stuff. This was a very spicy first part of the show. I love it, though.
Yeah. All right. We're going to finish off our regional picks.
Yes.
3 final regionals. Northeast, New York, California. Top 4 teams in each basically division. Olivia's going to do girls. What do we got here in the Northeast?
All right, let's start with the Northeast. That's going to kick off November 25th. That's crazy to think. A month from tomorrow, this is all going to go down. Here are the states that will be competing in this region. You have Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maine, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Vermont. So, number 1 for me, we've talked about them at the beginning of the show because they are that good. I have Union Catholic. They're number 9 in the country on our rankings. They grabbed the major victory over the defending NXN champions at the Ocean State Cross Country Invitational, and they hold the 17th best team average this year with an 1808. So I really feel like Union Catholic from New Jersey can sneak up there and be one of the top teams from this region. Number 2 from Pennsylvania, I have North Allegheny, and they've had an 1816 best team average this year. They've been knocking at the doors, and they've been kind of floating for me, kind of close to that top 25 on our MileSplit 50 rankings, so I'm not counting them out. Number 3, I have Freehold Township of New Jersey. They're led by Emma Zawatsky, who's just been having a great season already. 1843 team average from there. And then my 4th, I have a feeling this team could really surprise us, is Haydenfield Memorial, another team from New Jersey. They hold a 19 flat team average this season. So those are my top 4 picks from the Northeast.
I believe this is at Bowden too. Tough course for the Northeast. You're not going to run fast here. So I originally had a different pick on my boys' side, but then I realized, it's not about running fast.
It's not.
Bowden, it's about running measured and finishing.
Yeah.
So I actually just switched my 4th pick. But
okay, your 4th pick.
Too much time into this.
Okay.
CBA 1, Union Catholic 2, Westfield 3. Those are basically the top 3 New Jersey teams, and they're in the rankings. Originally had Ridgefield at 4. They were second at Great American, but Wake Med's a much different course than the Bowden is. So I'm switching LaSalle Academy of PA.
Wow, the bold moves
up
today.
To 4. They finished second at Manhattan. So, hey, prove me wrong. But those are my picks there. Let's move to the New York region, Olivia.
Okay, as we know, New York is its own thing, New York. So my top 4 teams from New York, you got to go with the defending champions here, Saratoga Springs. They've had a best of 1828 for their team average. Honestly, I'm not surprised by that. So Saratoga Springs, number 1. Number 2, I have Bethlehem Central. I feel like they've been a solid team this season. What's quite impressive is they've been consistently in that 840 team average range, and they've been able to get their top scoring runners within 60 seconds. I think their best split was a 53 this year, so they're looking solid. FM, I have at number 3. They are led by Izzy Sullivan. This team has an 1842 team average, and they have a 79-second split. And then my 4th team is Adirondack, I think is how you pronounce the school. It is the 4th best team in the state. They have a 1913 team average. But honestly, for me, it's Saratoga, Bethlehem Central, and FM are like rock and stone there.
Okay. New York on the guys' side just made another switch. Originally had Fairport at 1. I'm moving St. Anthony's up to 1.
Okay.
Fairport at 2. Auburn at 3, Arlington at 4. I think it's like we talked about the Southeast last week being anyone's game, really, because there was so many teams, there's so many states that are featured in that region. New York's a little bit of a crapshoot too, to be quite honest. St. Anthony's ran really well in Manhattan, and they beat Auburn. So I think, and Auburn was just off Fairport in some of their performances. I think it was McQuaid. They lost to Fairport by 32 points. So I think it's closer than
we think.
Yeah, I mean, Fairport has been the best team in New York all season long. They've won, but some of those margins of victory have been, not like huge.
You're not blowing them out, yeah.
So for me, like, I'm going to pick St. Anthony's. I'm going to kind of go out on a limb and say they get there this year. Fairport 2, they get there. Auburn, Arlington, New York is my fourth pick. But yeah, I think it's kind of up in the air for New York teams. Last and final region here we're getting to is California. California State Championships act as the qualifier for NXN. They happen November 25th.
Yeah. So spot number 1, the team that we've been like, all right, they've been putting out the best marks out there, and they're continuously doing that. J. Sarah Catholic. Yeah. They're number 3 on our MileSplit 50 rankings. They have taken down the defending CIF Division I champions at Clovis. And I feel like this squad was able to overtake the victory late. As we mentioned, it's not always about how you start. It's about how you finished. Yeah. And they finished with an 18.06 average. Number 2 is Buchanan, another top team. I feel like I'm not counting them out quite yet. They're number 11 on our MileSplit 50. They were 3rd at Clovis. So I'm not counting them out. Number 3 and 4, I feel like it depends. I've had Ventura at 3, and the reason being is because I don't know if now, because their team looks solid, if they're going to take into consideration going to NXN. As Cory mentioned early on in the show, Sadie Englehart tends to go towards Champ Sports. That's been her primary national championships that they go to for Sadie. So I don't know if this changes anything, but it could. So number 3, if I'm like, okay, they're going to NXN, I have Ventura right now at spot number 3. They're number 10 on our rankings, and they've been doing really well ever since they competed at Clovis. If not, number 4, I have Santiago Corona. They're number 14 on our rankings. They tied with Buchanan at Clovis, and Buchanan has a huge target on their back as the defending Division I champions, and Santiago finished with an 18.16 average this year. So those are my top 4 picks right now.
I'll be honest, I didn't really think about it in terms of if Ventura qualifies.
Yeah.
Say you do.
Yeah, that's my big question now.
If they qualify, that means she can't run Foot Locker because NXN is on the Foot Locker West date. So you do have to make a decision at that point. Team over individual.
Yes.
I tend to think you're team over individual. So I don't know. It'll be an interesting question.
So it's the question now going into nationals.
But it really depends because top 2 get in automatically. If Ventura is on that 3rd or 4th spot, it really depends on the committee.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I don't know. I'll just say like California last year got a couple at-larges in, and I'll just leave it at that. On the guys' side, Great Oak I have winning from the meat merge, basically. I think they took a loss at Clovis to Dana Hills, and maybe in some ways that was a good loss because they know that they can be beaten on any given day, so you can't go in here overlooking anybody. So I think Great Oak comes out in the meat merge winning. They just come off the win in Mount Sac. They even could have Weston Brown back. He hasn't been running, but I think he might be back during the state regional system or the state and national system. So could watch out for them. I got Dana Hills at 2 because they've been good all year. They won that big meet at Clovis. I have Ventura at 3. They really got smacked in the face at Clovis, and finally took a big loss, which probably gives them a measure of realization. We're not we are a good team. But if everything doesn't come together, we can easily lose here. So Ventura 3, I think they come back and they run a good average at California. And then I have Oakdale at 4, beating out San Clemente here. So it's going to be tight in California, I think. Yeah. Potentially, I do think that 3rd boys team could get in if it is Ventura. I tend to think that they're going to take at least one California team on both sides. But we'll just have to see after that. All right, next up, state championship season.
It is here. It is here. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
It just feels like it feels like yesterday was AAU. And then boom, here we are. We're talking cross country state championships.
For sure. South Dakota's already gone off. Nebraska gone off. Utah today. This weekend, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Colorado, Maine. Biggest girls storyline you're looking into, Olivia?
Yes, I have 2, and I'm going to focus on Kentucky, and I'm also going to focus on Maine. Specifically with Kentucky, after Kiera O'Shea graduated, I had this huge question of who's going to kind of fill in the gap as that top gal that like continues to put Kentucky on the map. And just kind of looking at the merges that we've had, there are 4 potential contenders for a title. You have Tula Fawbush of Oldham. She is the top returner from this meet. She was 3rd at the 3A regional state meet last year. Then, of course, you have Addison Moore, who, just speaking of AAU, has been an AAU national winner. She's also broken records at AAU as well. She was a standout freshman in 2022, and she was also 4th in her class last year. Then another athlete that comes to mind is Reagan Gilmore of Assumption. She has the fastest seed time right now of a 17:24. And of course, over this whole entire season, we've been seeing a lot of middle school kids really elevate themselves. And so 8th grader Caroline Mooney of Bullitt East, I feel like will also be in the mix as well. So that's what I'm looking forward to in Kentucky and Kansas. I feel like Clay Shively and Caitlin Rope are the biggest headlines going into there. I feel like they're going to have a big showing. And then my third storyline, the thing I'm looking out for the most, is Ruth White. We're huge fans of Ruth. She recently committed to Boise State, so we're super excited for her. And she's going for her 3rd straight cross-country title. What's interesting about her story is she is the only girl in the state to dip under 17 minutes for 5K in history. She set a personal best of 16:56 at the Maine Cross Country Festival of Champions just a few weeks ago. So very sharp against how you finish. And right now I feel like she's finishing strong. So how fast can she go on home soil this weekend? And she won the title last year with an 18:02. To just see the margin that she's just progressed has just been amazing. And I'm wondering if she can pull a few people close to that 17 flat mark going into state championships in Maine.
Go Ruth. All right, biggest single boy storyline I'm looking into is Benjamin Anderson. Can he win his 8th straight race this season? He's been undefeated, 39th last year. So there is a bit of that redemption quality to this race in Colorado. Mountain Vista was 4th last year. So individually, can he lead his team? That's definitely one big storyline we're working in toward this weekend. A couple runners stand in his way. Brennan Draper, I think, has a legitimate opportunity to sort of supplant, upplant. I don't know what I'm going at, but he can definitely beat Benjamin Anderson on a given day. So Ben has to watch out for him, and then Daniel Haruska of Cherry Creek too also have to watch out for him. But I do think this is a perfect time for Anderson to finish off what this season has been for him. He's been the best guy in Colorado all year long. And if we look at the Norris Penrose Events Center history over the last 4 or 5 seasons, the times have really been dipping down. Cole Sprout won 15-12 in 2019. Parker Wolf set the meet record there in 2020, 15-10. Zane Bergen went 15-17 in 2021. Christian Grondike 15-13 last year. So if history serves as an example, Ben Anderson has a chance to drop under 15-20 and maybe even go after a meet record there at Penrose. So we're definitely going to see if that can come to fruition there. Also, side note to those 4 guys, 3 of them ended up being top 10 at a national race to finish off their year. So that's kind of good little fuel for Ben as well. We're going to go to the top team storyline at the Colorado State Championships. Olivia, what do you got?
Oh man, I feel like on the girls' side in particular, there's just so much going on. I'm excited for it. It's all great, good things going on. Will Niwot or Air Academy have the best showing? I think that's the biggest question. They're not in the same classification, so we're not going to see them go head to head. So without the biggest competitor lining up there, who's going to come out on top, throughout the race? And also, we talked about Bethany Michalak and Addison Ritzenhein. What are they going to put down? So just taking a deeper dive, Niwot, we have as our #1 team on the rankings, and rightfully so. They scored 15 points to win the Desert Twilight Invitational with a 17:31 team average, and they definitely know how to get their top runners in efficiently, quick, and effortlessly with a 69-second spread. Air Academy is not too far behind them, #2 on our rankings, and they recently got their win at the Air Academy Cadet Invitational. Now, when I'm looking at this individually, I have 3 ranked girls, and then I have 3 that are on this honorable mention, all in different classifications. In the 3A division, I have Isabella Laurie. I'm excited to see what she does from Liberty Common. She's the 10th best on our rankings right now. She continues to have an undefeated season. She won the Liberty Bell Cross Country Invitational with a 16:51 personal best, and I think she's looking to defend that title as well. Then you go into 4A, and that's where you have Niwot and Addison Ritzenhein, who I pick as like, if Nationals were to happen today, she's the one that I feel like could really put out a great showing. And she was second to Ella Hagen at States last year. So can she grab her very first cross-country title? Moving into 5A, that's where Bethany Michalak and Air Academy, the cadets, that's where they're at, number 8 on our rankings. And I feel like this is a great opportunity for her to put something together. As we mentioned, she is the top returner from NXN. She was 6th last year at this competition. And so I feel like she could really put a really great showing at States over the weekend. So I'm keeping my eyes out for also Ella Hagen, Mia Prock, and Tessa Walter, who, again, are doing great things. So lots of things happening on the girls' side.
Yeah. Top boys team storyline is, in my eyes, probably Niwot. 4A, I think they have a chance. Honestly, I'm a little unsure about like just how good they are. Desert Twilight, they ran very well. Speed ratings were high, and then they run regions. It seems like they cruise, and then the speed ratings are low. Makes you wonder about the speed ratings a little bit.
But also, it's regionals, right? Were they just trying to like?
That's what I'm saying.
Cruise, like you said, cruise on in there.
Yeah, but you don't cruise 8 points down from a speed rating. I most times, like you're not that far off from where you are. So, I think at States it will force them to run it away to get the win. Even though they do have things down the line, I think they will run as a team, as a unit, together, and as well as they've run all season. So, Niwot is the biggest, I think, storyline for me at the Colorado State Championships because of that fact alone. Now, they're in 4A. They're not going to face the big dogs in 5A. So we still will leave here evaluating what it all meant.
Yeah.
But I think Niwot is the best team in Colorado right now. 5A, it's going to have Mountain Vista, Valor Christian, Rock Canyon, Thunder Ridge. That's going to be a battle between all those teams. We'll see how that win compares to the 4A win and just what to take away from it, because from that point we go to NXR Southwest, which is early, and just gets real for a lot of these teams that want to get to nationals.
Yeah, it's so difficult with Colorado, how all the great teams are all separated in different classifications. I'm like, I just want y'all to line up together. It's hard, and it's evident on the boys' side as well.
You know where we don't have to worry about that?
California.
Well, California has 5 divisions.
5, yeah.
But Indiana.
Oh, Indiana, yes. Yeah.
Indiana, it's one and done. One boys race, one girls race. It's over. And it's this weekend, October 28th, Laverne, Gibson, XC Course, Terre Haute. We got to get into Indiana because it always supplies great excitement, speed, and really some engaging stories to leave. And I think on the girls' side, let's talk about individual side. Is there one outright favorite?
I think we can say that.
Okay.
From Delta High School, we have Nikki Sutherland, who's just been completely dominating left and right. This year, I feel like Nikki's just on a whole nother level. She won her sectional and regionals, like doing her thing. She set a 5K personal best of 17:01 earlier this season. I'm like, all right, it's the Nikki Sutherland show on the girls' side this year, doing great things. However, she's, like I said, been doing great things, but I feel like there are 2 sophomores that I also want to put on your radar, essentially. I'm looking for now the up-and-coming individuals from Indiana. Nikki Sutherland is graduating, and she's going to be doing her thing. So who are those next stars that we can kind of look forward to? You have Julia Score, and the only race that she didn't win this year was the Nike Cross Country Town Twilight, which was a very, very competitive race. We talked about Zariel Makia. She was in that race, took the victory. Nikki Sutherland was second in that race, and the fact that Julia Score finished in the top 10 in that race really speaks volumes on the kind of competitor that she is. And she set a personal best there of 17:16. Libby Doughty of Indian Creek is another athlete I'm looking forward to seeing. She was 4th at the Nike Cross Country Town Twilight meet where she ran a 5K personal best of 17:09. So we had a lot of Indiana and Illinois athletes competing at that meet. So it kind of gave me a glimpse of kind of what to expect. So Nikki Sutherland, I think, is going to go after that title, but I'm curious to see that fight for second and third, and possibly Julia Score and Libby Doughty will be in that mix.
So it's cut and dry. Nikki is out.
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like it's safe to say that.
I get worried about that sometimes because when there's only like one name you're looking at, it's easy for things, I think, to like
happen?
not go your way. And that puts the most pressure on you because you have to win.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting though. I agree. Nikki Sutherland.
I feel like she just has the experience and has, I don't want to say cushion, but I'm honestly not too worried about.
Indiana's usually a little deeper. So I'm a little surprised, but that's kind of where maybe some surprises could happen.
Yeah.
On the guy side, I think there is 4 clear contenders for this title. Now it was put up in a little bit of chaos last week because Cameron Todd lost the Region 3 race to Anthony Provenzano of Carmel for the first time. Todd had won all the big races that year, that season, and then all of a sudden Provenzano finally beats him at his own game. So now you're kind of wondering who's going to take this, because you look at that photo right here. That was last year's state meet. Provenzano was second. Todd was after him. Mathisen was first. So, I mean, there's a little bit of like gamesmanship, I think, that can come of this race between those two because they have history. Sam Quagliari definitely is a guy that can contend for the title. He's basically the 3rd or 4th ranked guy in Indiana, depending on how you see it. Will Conway of Floyd Central, healthy, definitely is going to go after it. He has a tendency to go out fast and make moves, but he's learned that, like, over time, if you sit and you wait, most times those races come back to you. So I'll be curious to see how he races at state championships. But those 4 guys are in it, in my eyes, to win it. I have been on Cameron Todd's sort of wagon the whole year, and I'm going to stay on it. I say Cameron Todd wins Indiana state championships.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think that's fair, and especially with the photo that we have, and just knowing that the competitors that we're seeing with Anthony and Cameron Todd, we're going to see the best come out of them. And so, I don't know, it's going to be great. But I'm kind of with you on Cameron Todd here.
Okay.
I feel like Cameron Todd could, it's not going to be an easy win, but I feel like he could be that first one across the line.
We'll see.
We'll see. Indiana State Championship.
Will Conway has the mullet. Mullet has some powers, so we'll watch out for that. On the team front, let's talk about how things will shake out and why. What's happening on the girls' side?
Yes, I'm excited for this this girls' team race. Noblesville looks very strong. Again, the Nike cross country meet really gave me a glimpse of kind of what to expect and just where they were. And of course, you had great competition, so I feel like it was a great playing field for you to make a clear analysis on there. And they got second place as a team right behind Mount Prospect, and they won their Region 4 by 18 points, and they have the second best team average in the state. You also have Fort Wayne Concordia Lutheran that's also going to be in this mix. They won the Region 2 race. They had the 4th fastest team average with an 18:30. I'm not counting out Homestead either. They're led by Addison Knobloch, who's just, again, another athlete that's been competing very strong this season. They were second in their region, 5th best team average in the state. And then also Hamilton Southeastern. I'm not counting them out either. It's probably a top contender. They're the fastest team. They have the fastest team average in the state this year. They were 6th at the Nike cross-country meet, so they probably didn't have the best showing there, but I'm not counting them out either. They were second to Noblesville at the regional meet. And the thing was, they didn't run with Maggie Powers, who I feel like is one of the top leaders on that team. So I don't know if they're saving her. I don't know if she had an injury in between a few of her races, but I'm not counting out Hamilton Southeastern at all.
Okay, Noblesville, Fort Wayne, Concordia Lutheran,
Homestead. Yeah.
No Carmel there.
Carmel, I feel like is going to be, they're going to be in the mix. I don't know if I would put them at the very top, though.
Okay.
They're definitely up there, though.
Okay. Interesting stuff.
Yes.
Guys, side, Carmel, Fishers, Hamilton Southeast, Bloomington North, Floyd Central. Those 5 teams are coming out of their regions, either first or second. Carmel was the most dominant out of Region 3 with 34 points. and it wasn't really close. All the other teams that I just mentioned had kind of battles just to get to the state championship. So I think that provides Carmel a little bit of stress-free living going into Terre Haute. I think they are the prohibitive favorite, and somebody's got to beat them at this point at their own game. But Carmel's got 5 guys under 16 minutes. Provenzano's, in the 15-20s. He might even run a little faster. Historically on this course, there's been a few guys that have gone under 15, and there's no more season left in the state, so you got to bring it at the Indiana State Championship. So I think Carmel's got it a little bit in the bag at this point.
Okay.
But it'll be
fun.
That
all sounds great. Yeah.
We'll have all the coverage on MileSplit.com over the weekend, and we'll cover all this stuff. Any other lasting notes about Halloween?
Halloween is coming up. It's really interesting because our HQ's having like a Halloween party on Thursday, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to be still. Do you have an idea for what you want to be for Halloween?
No. My whole aesthetic for Halloween from a professional sense is always gym 3-hole punch. Like, I don't want to put any work in, so I'll just be 3-hole punch. I never really got that. I guess it's like a hole punch. I don't get it really, but I don't know. It's easy.
It's easy.
3 circles.
See, for me, I told you this in the office, but I typically dress up as a baby because what you could do is get a onesie, and it's, of course, you can sleep in a onesie and just find a bottle somewhere, get a bib, blanket, and a teddy bear, and you're good to go. But you guys, we want to see your decorations. We want to see your costumes. I know we have the video of Cory's scream. Cory's house there with scream on the porch. Have you added more decorations? Because I know you and Kat really get into it. Do you have a scarecrow? Didn't you have a scarecrow?
We don't do scarecrow. Well, actually, we have scary scarecrow on one of our rocking chairs.
Okay.
Which we're going to put candy on it.
Okay.
And it's battery powered, so every time you take a candy out, it screams.
Okay. So nothing more has been added to the.
I mean, we have a lot out there. Yeah, I think next year we have to invest a little bit more.
Yeah.
Get a little bit more.
Yeah.
So
you totally should do that.
Yeah.
My mom sent me a little care package, so she sent me like Halloween lights to put on my patio. So she's like, "Did you put it out yet?" I was like, "Not yet." So we want to see your costumes, decorations. You can DM our Instagram account, a Twitter account. You can email if you have Cory or myself's emails. You can do that too. We want to see it so you can be featured on. Oh my gosh, that's next week.
Next week's
episode.
31st is next week's episode. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh man, I get to dress up twice then for this week and then Halloween. So yeah, that's all I have.
All right.
Update on Halloween.
Show us your stuff. We'll see you next Tuesday. Okay. Take care.